Welcome to the Higher Level Podcast. So we just want to briefly talk to you about ItGel, who's a new sponsor of the podcast, and also ItGel sponsors some of the athletes here at Higher Level. So you can tell us a wee bit about which athletes you have used the product during camp, James.
So we have a bunch of guys use it right through the kind of amateur ranks into pro. The most notable will probably be Shanks, the former Cage Warriors World Flyweight Champion. He's used it for longer than some of the other guys. The other guys actually came on board after Luke started using it, and he uses it for recovery, to help with inflammation after training, and he uses it to enhance the quality of sleep, which he's noticed a big difference since taking the product. So it's all good.
Yeah. And if you pop over to itgelcbd.co.uk, pop in the promo code HIGHER10, you'll get 10% off your first order. Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Level Podcast. So tonight it's about a Cage Warriors special. James Dillon and myself are going to be talking about the most recent Trilogy card, which had a lot of higher level interest in it. So we're going to just be chatting a bit about that weekend and obviously some of the fights on it. So James, busy weekend for you, cornering. Is that the busiest weekend you've had in a while?
It was, man. It's also the first time I've had like fighters on consecutive nights before. Like I've done Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday before, but I've never had like the 3 nights on the bounce type of thing. Which it brought me out some problems and stuff, but it just felt like we were non-stop from the moment we got to the hotel to the Saturday night when we were done, man. It was constant weight cut, fight, weight cut, fight, weight cut, fight. It was good, but I enjoyed it. It was a good experience for me.
See stuff like that as a coach, because it's obviously keeping you on your toes, because it's obviously weight cut fight, but then it's different fights, different guys you're having to think about. And is it a challenging thing as a coach, dealing with all that and try to make sure your guys have got the best opportunity to win?
I definitely, a lot of time management stuff, and then just kind of compartmentalising stuff. So like I never travelled in with Keir, who was on the first night. Mark went with him, so Mark kind of took care of the helping Keir make weight and stuff like that. And by the time I got there, it was straight into Luke's weight cut. I had to disappear at night to go and corner Keir. Straight back, finished Luke's weight cut, get up in the morning, Luke makes weight, and then just start like, the process again. Like it was decent, man. But we're used to stuff like that before, maybe going to fight cards and having 8 or 9 fighters on. So I took a couple of guys that I knew could help. Like Mark was brilliant with Keir, helped with the weight cut, helped them have a move a bit on fight day and warm up and stuff like that. And then I actually, if you watched the fight, you'd have seen Shanks actually helped me after his own fight. He helped with Scott and stuff like that. So it's problematic. There's sometimes going to be things that could go wrong. You just need to make sure everything goes right with the weight, and then the guys are all professional enough to make sure their rehydration and that's on point, and then just go for there. But it was good, man. It was an experience. I actually really enjoyed it, but it's a wee bit different feeling with the previous trilogy, where we've had 1 or 2 fighters on the same night, where you get down to make weight. You're hanging about for 3 or 4 days, then absolutely nothing. Then you have the weight cutting day, the fight day, then home. Whereas this day was just constant. I was going between the fighters' different rooms, making sure everyone was all right, making sure they had what they needed and stuff like that. But it's better for me being busy, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing, obviously, I've seen events myself, regional events where there's a ton of higher level guys on, but at Cage Warriors, so even for like guys like Stevie McIntosh, the pressure is just amped up because of the stage they're fighting on. Do you feel that as well as a coach, because it's that big stage and just the opportunity it is for guys in Cage Warriors?
It is the biggest show in Europe, and the guys that we had on are obviously different stages in their career, but there is pressure. There's pressure on. We try not to make pressure, but the week before we had Tunde fighting at the Budo show, and there's even pressure on him because everybody is fully aware of how good he is and his potential. But like at Cage Warriors, these are guys that they're real pros, or the top end of the pros in Europe are involved with that card, and the position that show's got itself in now as a stepping stone to the UFC, there's an additional pressure there as well. Do you know what I mean? Like losing there can either can break or kill careers, which we've seen before, and winning there can kind of shoot people off into the UFC where they're aiming for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, we say it all the time, Cage Warriors delivers again. Some great fights, some just another amazing few nights of fights. Where really are these things are a treat for European MMA fans, especially in the UK with the time and stuff. But obviously, we'll kick things off with the first set of fights anyway. One fight that I wanted to speak to you about, because it's really relevant to the gym, and especially Luke Shanks, was a gentleman, Arnabi, who we've had in the show before, an amazing story. Going in there with the opportunity to fight for a title, but he has Sam Creasy in front of him. Any surprises for you in terms of how that fight went?
I think it wasn't a fight I was too keen to watch, to be fair, because I really like both of those kids. I think Aaron never got gone, if I'm honest, and Sam looked exceptional. He showed a side of his game that he's not shown in a little well with the chain wrestling and stuff in the mat returns. It did look, even for the weigh-ins, I know it is true that Aaron maybe is just really small at the weight, and it kind of showed where he was making the right technical moves. He was returning to his feet and he was fighting the hands and stuff like that. But the kind of physicality of Sam, as well as the fact that he's got very good technique, just made it a hard night for Aaron, to be honest. And again, he just showed what an absolute warrior he is. He never took a single out. He never stopped trying for the 15 minutes. He was constantly behind. And he's just like probably the toughest guy I know, to be honest, in the fight scene. And it was good to see him getting to the. It looked like he was going to get stopped, I think, in round 3, and it was good to see him just making it to the final bell and losing on decision instead of getting stopped. But Sam looked good, man. I'm looking forward to the fight between him and Luke.
Yeah, and the other fight as well I want to speak to you, obviously, was a title fight. We had Matthias Frederick and against Matthew Bonner. Frederick comes in as the favourite. I would imagine most people would have had Frederick on their picks. In terms of how the fight went, were you shocked to be, first of all, that Matthew got the victory, that he managed to get the upset?
Not really, man. Actually, I think there's a couple of things going on with that fight. Frederick's extremely dangerous. He's one of the biggest hitters I've seen on the kind of regional scene. But he kind of got exposed as being one-dimensional in that fight off of Matthew Bonner. His wrestling wasn't so great, and I don't know how much jiu-jitsu and stuff he does. He powered out a couple of positions once or twice, and Matthew Bonner's just been on a really good run at Cage Warriors. He's a guy I know because he fought up here in Grangemouth against Graham Armstrong, a kid that used to train with us, and he beat Graham on points. It was quite a good fight. It was 29-28 across the 3 cards, a round each going into the 3rd round. And even in that fight, Matthew Bonner showed that he's very, very tough. He's improved massively since that fight. I think him hooking up with Paul Rimmer at Next Generation has transformed him, to be honest. He looks like a completely different prospect and fighter since he got there. He's just one of the guys, if you look at his record, he's got losses and stuff. At one point he probably had a close to neutral record, but he's just went on this wee run at Cage Warriors. It's kind of what's going on at the UFC with other guys now, with Brandon Moreno and stuff like that, and Charles Oliveira, like guys that are excellent, but you maybe never picked Matthew Bonner to be the champion a year ago or 2 years ago. And it's just a testament to the guy's hard work and his resilience and everything else. But I was made up that he won, to be honest. He's one of the guys, like he's just workmanlike, do you know what I mean? He's just he's trying to get better. He's doing everything he can, and Frederickson's a very, very dangerous opponent. If you zig instead of zag with him, he's going to leave you unconscious, like you seen in his last fight with Richardson. And Matthew Bonner got through some bad spots. He took some big shots. It was technique that overcame it. Just a more well-rounded will set, and maybe even just a bit more will to win. I don't know, but I wasn't shocked by it. I think I picked Bonner to win before it. But at the same time, nobody would have been surprised if Fredrickson had landed one of those big right hands or left hands on him and just put him out. But it was good. It was good to see, man. I think across the board, all the guys that won titles at the weekend are deserving champions.
And it's one of those things with MMA as well, where using boxing as a comparison, you're very rarely going to see a guy that's an experienced fighter in boxing and got a neutral record fight his way back into a world title. It doesn't happen very often, where you feel that the possibilities are more there for MMA.
I know it's quite unique to MMA, that, to be honest. It's the way boxing is, it's to its own detriment. You have all the best guys avoiding each other solely because of that reason. They don't want the best fighting the best, because this idea that if you have a loss, you're no good or whatever. Whereas I quite like a lot of reading about boxing historical stuff, and all the best guys were losing. These were guys back in the early 1900s and stuff, so we were having 300 fights plus, and they'd maybe lose 50. But everybody knew it should count who you're losing to as much as if you're losing. And these guys were developing off the losses, whereas what you're seeing in boxing is because they're so scared to lose and avoid each other, their development's kind of stunted with it. And exactly what you see with Matthew Bonner there is, with those losses that he's had earlier in his career has caused him, has moulded him into what he is just now. Do you know what I mean? He's learned it, he's developed off it, and he's now a very, very complete mixed martial artist. And he looks good at the weight and everything else. But that's kind of boxing. It's why so many people are watching UFC and turning away from boxing, unless it's the kind of mega fights.
Yeah, and obviously we see guys like Nathan Diaz, whose record's not been great recently, but he's as popular as ever, even coming off losses. So, And now I wanted to jump on to the next card, the 1-2-4 card. There's actually quite a few fights I want to get your thoughts on here. The first one that springs to mind was Cameron Hardy and obviously Dominic Wooden. Give me your thoughts on that fight.
Wooden looked exceptional. He was in our change room, very, very dangerous. He's well schooled him. He's under Brad Pickett and Ashley Grimshaw. So he's in the same gym as Nathaniel Woods and stuff like that. So he's never going to be struggling for training partners. But it looked like he got to fight the exact fight that he wanted him. He controlled the range and he picked his shots, and he was very versatile. I think Cameron got knocked in the eye. I think one of the early shots affected his sight, and everything kind of went downhill from there. But Wooden looks like he should be in the mix for the title. I want to see him fighting Cartwright, I think. I think it'd be an excellent fight. Big, another guy big at the weight, super athletic for an excellent team. That's the first time I think I've seen Wooden fight live, and I was really impressed with him. Even his process with making weight and warming up and stuff, he's very, very good.
And the next one, this is kind of a double. I want to get your thoughts on. So I want to speak to you about George Hardwick and Harry Hardwick. But first of all, we'll talk about George. And you're fighting former champion Dean Truman. Dean Truman, excellent fighter, tough as nails, and great display. And the finish as well, that shot, he landed that body shot, it looked nasty, and just as soon as that hit, it just looked like there was absolutely no way back for Truman. That was just a fight-ending blow right there.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of that in MMA. It was a beautiful body shot. He shelled them up with some throwaway stuff and then came around the side, and it was absolute clinical. It's probably my favourite finish of the three shows, actually, just because you don't see a lot of it. Both those kids looked excellent. They're really, really big signings for Cage Warriors. I think they snapped them up for Bellator. They were doing pretty well. They were both involved in good fights against good guys, but George stood out for me. Truman's a dangerous guy. And I think
former champion.
I think he'd been trying to wind George Hardwick up a wee bit at the weigh-in and stuff like that. And George, every time you see him, was just calm and composed, and then the finish was exceptional. It was a really, really nice finish.
And we'll speak on that as well. You mentioned something there about Bellator, because it seems like Cage Warriors are getting to go in now and pick and choose the European guys that were over at Bellator. Obviously Dominic Wooden was there, and both the Hardwick brothers. So I think that shows where Cage Warriors are at in the European scene.
It was always at that level in the European scene anyway. I think a lot of these guys went to Bellator obviously because the money was they were chucking about was pretty good. But even back then, when they were signing all the guys, even still with the American shows, you always kind of feel like it's just a matter of time before Viacom kind of pull the plug on Bellator. There's just something about that show. It's not even like a second-rate UFC. There's just something very, very strange about it. I was really excited about the European series thing, and happy for all the guys getting signed with the potential to make a fair bit of money. But it looks like it's completely backfired. And Cage Warriors has kind of took the best of the guys, which is good for Cage Warriors and also good for the guys just to keep them busy, because you've got guys like Chris Duncan he's no fought in a year and a half or whatever. These guys are running out of time, and it speaks volumes to the guys like the Hardwick brothers and Wooden and Justin Burlinson and stuff like that, who were like, I'm not going to get paid the same, but I need to be fighting. It speaks volumes to the guys who maybe approached Cage Warriors and asked about getting signed there.
Yeah, and it's a perfect segue into it then. You mentioned his name there, Justin Burlinson. A lot of hype around him, and absolutely rightly so. Comes in and gets another finish against David Bear. Did you get to see that one live? Did you get to go out and watch that one?
I did, aye. That was after Luke, so we were sitting backstage. Again, Burleson was in our changing room. A lot of hype about him. I actually watched videos of him training and stuff like that, his pad work and stuff like that. He's a guy I really like to watch. I've watched him at Bellator and stuff. Again, first time seeing him live, and he was mega impressive. It was a good test from that, because he overcame a wee bit of adversity there where Bear got the takedown and stuff in round one, and he came back, but he was very impressive, and he never looked flustered. He was in control the whole time, and then when he started letting his stuff go, he completely took over. I like Wooden. I wouldn't be surprised if his next fight's probably for the title. He can't be far off it. He's got a massive future. That guy was very, very impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just the talent levels down there are just insane. Even just this card alone, when you're going through some of the fights, they're amazing. And then obviously leading into the title fight, Joe McColgan against Serdar. I hate to just lean against one fighter, but I loved seeing Joe McColgan win. I really like him as a fighter, and obviously his story, working full time and just everything he does. It was amazing. What did you think of the fight itself?
It pretty much went how I expected. Joe McColgan's an exceptional fighter. I think the champion had been matched pretty well up to that point, and he had no answer for anything. Joe was better than him everywhere.
Yeah,
and it showed. He looked excellent. He looked levels above the champion, to be honest, which is what I kind of expected. And it was nice for him just to get out and show what he was capable of, especially after you can compare the Mason Jones title attempt, but he took that in really, really short notice. And I think he is a guy, and his team are that methodical way, whereas if you give them the 6 or 8 weeks that they need, you're going to get a much better version of a guy taking a fight in short notice. And I'm made up for him, because I think that's been his goal since the start. He's probably been like a world title, and now he's ticked that box. I'm looking forward to see where he goes next. But it was a one-sided fight for me, and Joe just showed that he was levels above. I'm not quite sure who else is in that. Maybe make the rematch with Mehdi Ben Lacker, but I can't see anybody right at this current time taking that belt off him.
Yeah, and that takes us into obviously the final event. And I kind of want to start this on. There was obviously something a bit controversial that happened. You probably know what I'm going to talk about. It was Gerardo Fani and Conor Hignett. Now I saw Andrew Fisher posting up about it, and I'm not getting into great detail, but what did you think of that whole situation that unfolded there?
Well, it was obviously an illegal knee. It looked. It's hard to say it wasn't intentional. It looked pretty deliberate. It was aimed and it landed. I think what Andrew Fisher was talking about was how it should never be the fighter's choice to continue. Absolutely. Because the majority of fighters, 9 out of 10 of them will always want to fight. You've seen it with guys. I know guys who've had their arm broke, their jaw broke, teeth hanging out. They'll come back to the corner and say, like, I was knocked out there, and then the next punch woke me up and stuff like that. And fighters are going to fight. So I think that something has to be implemented where that decision comes up away for the fighter, probably even the coaches as well. And it should be on the ref or even the doctor. Could play a role, because I'm sure the doctors, they have the ability to stop a fight. We had a professional fight on one of our sport fight cards about maybe 10 years ago. It was Dan Hope and a guy whose name I can't remember from. It was Joe something for Chris Carmichael's team. And the referee the doctor actually got up and stopped the fight halfway through round 3. The two of them it was a proper war at Lanark. Two of them were beating the crap out of each other, and Joe Nugent is the guy's name. Joe Nugent kind of got stuck in a bad spot with Dan hitting him. Both of them were cut, covered and blood, whatever, and doctors actually got up and called the fight off. And I think that wouldn't be a bad thing for it to happen in this instance where there's been an illegal foul. So an intentional foul like that, you're meant to get 2 points off. But you obviously seen what happened. Conor went on a wee bit longer and then get knocked out again with a knee. I spoke to Conor on the Sunday at breakfast as I was leaving, and he was saying he had headaches and stuff like that. And I think I messaged him, and I think Andrew Fisher also messaged him, just saying we should maybe go get that checked. But there has to be something done there where it's either an intentional foul like that, the referee just takes it out of everybody's hands. And then if that's the punishment, then you're probably more likely guys only going to throw those illegal shots. But again, if you ask the fighter, there's a stereotypical view of guys who are taken out where they're going to get tarnished as a quitter. You know what I mean? And I've seen Conor Hignett fight a bunch of times live. He fought Luke, and the kid, he'll keep coming. It doesn't matter what you do, the kid will keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. So it's in the sports interest that some kind of protocol gets put in place there where that's dealt with a bit better, I think.
Yeah, because ultimately, if that blow Conor had been actually couldn't get up for that blow, if he'd been, let's say, knocked out for that, it's going to be called a no contest or a DQ, isn't it? Yeah. So no contest would have been fine, or a DQ, or listed as a disqualification due to an illegal strike. That's fine. Yeah. And if you take out even if the guy can continue, but the protocol is the fight's over, then guys are going to be less likely to throw shots that will get them disqualified. Even in the heated battle, do you know what I mean? There'll be something subconscious of what, don't do that or the fight's done type of shit. I guess as well the question is, just because maybe the guy can continue, but is he extremely compromised when he continues and then ultimately takes a shot that maybe he wouldn't have taken or maybe wouldn't have put him out? So it's... You
could see the difference with round 1 in that fight was quite competitive. I think Fanny had just started taking over, to be honest, but Conor was competitive, and then after the foul, he was compromised. He was not running on fumes, but he wasn't what he was before it, that's for sure.
Right. And by the way, I've got to say, we're definitely getting a clip taken out of this of you saying Fanny was taking over. That's definitely going to be clipped.
I was trying not to say the name there as well, but it's just clipped it.
So obviously, jump onto the main card. So obviously, we've got a couple of fighters from the gym who are fighting in the main, so we'll talk about the other fights on it. Paul Mcbain versus James Hendon. Really good fight. It looked like Paul was doing fantastic. And for there, they'd obviously shot that takedown. And do you think it was just a bit of a mistake Paul made within the fight?
I actually ended up cornering Paul. I went out with Chris. And if he's sitting at the cage, it was competitive a couple of minutes. And then I felt like Paul had started to take over, to be honest. I felt he got his jab established, which was kind of, I was calling for him to do that. He'd been pawing a wee bit with the jab to start with, and James had countered it a couple of times. But then when he started stepping in with it and stiffening it up a wee bit, it started changing things. I think he was landing the better strikes. To the extent where Hendon started shooting in open space and Paul was defending it, and then like you said, I don't think Paul was aware that he was probably ahead and he was in front, and the momentum had swung, and all he had to pretty much do was keep doing what he was doing, and then if the opportunity came, he could have mixed it up, but he decided to shoot, and it kind of led to him getting caught in a submission. So you're in a position where the guy's shooting on you, so he obviously wants to be grappling. It's daft, not daft, but it doesn't make any sense for you to shoot and give him what he wants. And I don't know if it's. I think Paul's fight IQ is generally pretty good and stuff. I think the time off he's had is definitely a factor. He's been out for, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 years, but he's been out for a long time.
2 years.
At the same time, he's not come back to an easy fight with James Hendon. He's an exceptionally good fighter, again, for a very, very good gym. And he took his opportunity, and he had some success as well in that round with strikes and stuff. He looked very, very good. Had been the distance with Paul Hughes and stuff. So he's came back, hard fight, time off, and it was maybe just a lapse in concentration or maybe an issue with pacing the fight. Like he wasn't aware that the momentum was in his favour, and he maybe felt like he had to make something happen. It was kind of cost him, which, again, the level the guys are operating at Cage Warriors, it's if you make a mistake, you're going to get punished.
Yeah, and you can see the frustration in Paul. I think Paul's obviously realised after the fight that the mistakes happened, and I guess this is, like we were speaking about earlier, the difference with boxing and MMA. It's just one of the things you just need to learn from it, and it's definitely the last we've seen, obviously, Paul. But it's going to be a frustrating one for Paul to take. I think that one.
I think so, man, because I think he's speaking to him and stuff. He's obviously went full time, so he's not working offshore anymore. So he's probably feels like he's more on a par with these guys, but he's not got the job. Eating up so much his time as before. I think he'd sparred in here a couple times, and it looked well. I think he'd sparred with Ross and he'd sparred with Chris and stuff. And like before he went out and stuff, he was supremely confident, and it looked like he was equipped for the job. But again, it was just a wee mistake. And I said to him after it, I'll not happen again. Like his son, he can go away and address with his coaches, and he'll fix it. So he'll develop from it, and again, I'm pretty sure he's going to win a bunch of fights at Cage Warriors because he's a very good fighter. Yeah,
absolutely. And it takes up to the co-main event on that card. So it was William Gomez against Tobias Harila. Obviously, Harila's coming in with a ton of hype. He's got a lot of hype around him. I think most people probably were expecting something for Harila in this fight, and it was obviously, I'll get your thoughts. It was a strange fight for me because he was applying lots and lots of pressure, but it just seemed to be just walking straight forward and just walking into punches, and Gomez was catching him and doing well going back and counter striking. It seemed weird that as the fight went on, it just didn't seem to change the way he was approaching it. I don't know. You can give us a more in-depth analysis on it.
Yeah, I had the same thing. That guy's always looked good in fights where people come to him. He likes to stand his ground, and he likes a fight. And I was in the same boat as everybody else. I looked at Gomez's record, and it was 6-3, and thought they brought this guy in here as a showpiece for Harila. Probably title fight after this. I think he was matched actually with Paul Hughes to start with Tobias Harila, and the fight never happened. So, but I don't think it was like a short notice pull. I think it was still a month or five weeks or something. But
yeah,
you just got the feeling down there all week in the hotel, at the weigh-ins, at the show, that Harila is he's the next superstar. He was getting a bit more media attention than some of the other ones. Even the way the guy carries himself. And I remember at the weigh-in thinking, look, I don't know if this is going to be competitive or not. And then when Gomez was in our change room, started warming up, and within about a minute of the fight, I was like, this isn't going to go the way Harila thinks. And he kind of nailed it there. He just kept doing the same thing for 15 minutes. And the marquee of these truly great fighters is they can adapt. They can change up, and they can fight different ways. And Tobias Harila didn't have the ability to do that on the Saturday night. He kept doing the same thing that wasn't working for 15 minutes, and he kept getting countered. And Gomez looked absolutely exceptional. He was probably one of the biggest underdogs of the 3 nights, and he pitched a shutout pretty much. He looked great. He was good everywhere. He hit them. He out-wrestled them. He scrambled them. At points he even gave Hariola what he wanted. He stood with him and threw at him, but his movement and that just completely confused Hariola, and he looks like he needs to learn how to cut off the cage and use that pressure instead of relying on guys coming to have a scrap with him. And the thing I actually took for it was obviously Hariola had fought Hendon before that, but I think if Hendon can fight different ways. Hendon could have fought a wee bit similar to Gomez there and had a lot more success, but Hendon kind of went for him as well, engaged with him, and that obviously suits Hariola. But I'll be interested to see how he comes back for that, because I think that's him 9-2 now. But it's obviously stripped him for the title picture immediately because he's off a loss. I don't even know if Gomez was on a multi-fight contract. You know what I mean? I think he was brought in one fight as an opponent for Hariola. It was kind of fascinating watching it happen. Like it can always happen. But the hype running about Hariola, and he is exceptionally good. That kid, he'll be back. But I think he's also 28. He's not as young as what people think.
I mean, you say the word kid, but he's not a kid at the end of the day. He's probably fully developed in terms of his skill set, and so now for these other guys, now there's a blueprint how to beat him. So I think he probably would struggle with Morgan Sherrier, Paul Hughes, and Jordan Vucenic, which is the guys that they've been aiming for. But it was one of the things. It was an upset, but it was kind of nice to watch, man. It's just everything you kind of love about MMA. Again, I don't want to compare it to boxing, but you go to boxing and you look at the fight card and you just pick everybody in the red corner, and that's your winner. Or even some of the Bellator cards are like that as well. It was a big performance by Gomez, man. It takes a bit of discipline to do that over 15 minutes as well, which I hope he gets credit for, because he was moving all the time and then changing it up. Talk about taking your opportunity on a big stage. I mean, that guy may be on a one-fight contract, but Cage Warriors are bringing him back in. They've got to.
Yeah, you need to, man. If they don't, somebody else will. But I would imagine that kid's going to be signed there now. Good to watch. It was fun to watch.
Now that leads us up to obviously the title fight. Ian Garry versus a very experienced Jack Grant. Now obviously there's a bit of backstory leading into this. We won't dwell on it too much because we don't really know what's happened. But obviously there was a split with Ian Garry and his team. Obviously with Chris Fields and Tom King. Immediately that's got to have an impact leading into the fight for Ian Garry and the preparation.
100%, man. There's no way it couldn't. A lot of what you see with these guys, it's not just always the fighter, it's the combination of the coach and the fighter a lot of these times. And I got the impression that was the way it was with Chris Fields and Ian Garry. It wasn't like it was like they were both kind of. Chris is a very good coach, Ian's a very good fighter, but together they were doing something a bit special. Do you know what I mean? It's like their stuff was all coming together. It's like they were going up through the levels together type of thing. That's the way I kind of seen it for the side. And I think it showed a wee bit, man, on the night of the fight. Like I expected Ian Garry, and it looked like he was going to kind of run through Jack Grant. Jack Grant's coming up for 70 kilos. He was a big lightweight and stuff, but there's no many welterweights bigger than Ian Garry. No. Skill set wise, Ian had the exact fight he wanted. But Jack Grant's striking's decent. He's an exceptionally tricky submission grappler. And we've said this before, but his wrestling isn't great. And Ian Garry he looked so hittable. Ian Garry, he was walking about with his hands asking about was it, and he was getting hit and stuff, but he must have got hit like a couple hundred times. And just kept walking forward. He jumped guard a few times because he couldn't get the takedown. And you can tell when guys are doing that. There's only certain people in the world can jump guard and get what they want. I was actually surprised that Ian Gary never got to finish. And I think if he'd still had Chris in his corner and stuff like that, he would have. As a coach, I've had a couple of fighters that I've took for nothing or very low level to a very good level. And then they've moved on, or I've had to get rid of them. And they're never the same. You see it in boxing and stuff like that. Like, I always use the example in here when Ricky Hatton left Billy Graham, it wasn't the same. When Prince Nazim left Brendan Ingle, it wasn't the same. So when you've got this person for like a young age, which Chris had with Ian Gary, and all the way through his amateur career, all the way through the pro ranks up to the stage with his world title, and then you split that partnership, it's going to have an effect. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Ian now, where he goes team wise. I think I've seen his girlfriend down there kind of approaching different teams, London-based teams and stuff, and asking about maybe going to hook up with him and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. But I think he's 22 or 23, that kid. He's still in Cage Warriors World Champion at welterweight. The division, the only challenge I can see from right now in that division is Burleson. Unless Matthew Bonner decided to drop back from middleweight into welterweight, because he's fought there before, because of a champion v champion fight would be interesting. But it'll be interesting to see where Ian Gary goes for there. Again, super talented kid, nice guy. It's really unfortunate that partnership's broke up.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
And so moving on, we're going back through the cards now. So let's talk about the guys. So first of all, I think congratulations in order. Four guys for the gym fighting, all wins. So I mean, that's not an easy thing to do in a place like Cage Warriors. So first off, you must be really happy for all the guys and happy with how things went over the weekend, especially given like Luke's situation and that, which we'll get to in a moment or two. But
yeah, it went well, man. I've seen some of the other bigger teams doing that, like Paul, Next Generation and Paul Rimmers at the trilogies have always got guys on every night, and they're going 3 or 4-0, and I think they went 3-1 there at that one, and there was a couple of the other bigger teams that 2-1, 3-1 and stuff. So it's not an easy task at that level to get for. I think, like, if I'm being honest, and when we're driving down there, you're trying to keep everything positive and stuff, and you've obviously planned on the 4 wins. But if you're realistic, you also know that you could come away with no wins at that level. But the fights are all well matched. We're probably underdog in a couple of their fights, to be honest. And all the guys they put the work in training, professional with the weight cuts. And the most important thing is they just turned up on the night. The 4 of them absolutely turned up on the night. Even Shanks, who was compromised a wee bit, but once that bell goes, we look, you know what you're getting. Like you're not getting an easy night. But the 4 of them were brilliant, man. The 4 of them, you couldn't ask for any more as a coach. What the guys gave us in training, and the results are pretty much just a byproduct of the work they've put in.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of the fights. I just want to jump. I know we're not doing it in order here, but I want to talk about the Shanks fights first. So, Luke obviously got ill, sickness bug and that. So that's there's no way getting around that. It's going to have an effect in the fight. It just is, especially the way Luke fights. But the other thing as well is Luke get caught and he get dropped, but he fought back through that, and almost immediately as well. It looked like it hurt really badly, but he came back extremely strong. So when you know Luke's been ill leading into the fight, then you see him take that shot and go down. Give me the thought process you're going through at that moment as a coach.
So I thought it was competitive, and then he started edging away until he got clipped. He was winning the round, and then he got clipped. The first punch that put him down was a fairly hard shot. Yeah, but you could tell by the way he landed. He landed on his bum and stood back up, and then got dropped again. The second one was maybe off balance. It wasn't so bad, but it was actually, for me, it was defending the submission. With the angle I had I could see the I think it was Anaconda the guy was trying, was fairly tight. And when you've had your bell rung like that and you're a wee bit disorientated and stuff like that, the last thing you need is somebody squeezing your neck. But you could see he got to the right position, blocked the hip and escaped it. And then I remember saying to him in between the rounds, I was like, that's all he's got. He'll not hit you with a cleaner shot than what he's landed there. He'll not have you in a position where he'll have a better chance to sub you, and you've survived it. So now it's just a case of us taking over and going back to what we've done in the first 3.5 minutes. So and the game plan, that kid's excellent coming forward. That's how he got his knockout before. The game plan was just to keep pressure on that kid, keep him moving, keep him on his heels. You probably heard me shout that when you watched it. And when he was backing away, look, was hitting him at will. It was dangerous when he set his feet. There's a couple of times when they both set their feet and threw at each other, and it becomes a wee bit of a shootout there. It's a bit of a lottery. But whenever Luke backed him up, he had his way with him. So that was kind of the plan going in. We actually were planning on wrestling a wee bit more, but because Luke was sick, it didn't happen. He felt like he never had the energy. And then when he started having so much success with him, with the pressure, he was faking a lot. We've been working on 2 or 3 wee fakes with him, and they all paid off. There's a lot of stuff in that fight is directly correlated to the stuff we've been doing in the gym, which was excellent. But you could tell after he survived that wee scare in round 1, and then a minute into round 2, I was like, we've got this. Like he's ahead of him, and he's still got gears to go up, but he was legitimately sick, like to the point where he actually had not a bad weight cut for him. He had a decent weight cut, not anywhere like the last couple. The Hardy fights obviously fixed that element of his game. He was good after the weigh-in, and then it turned out Craig had came down with a bug. So Luke ended up moving into my room. I slept on the floor. We left Craig for pretty much 3 days in a room on his own. Luke took my bed. I slept on the floor. Luke I made sure he rehydrated and stuff like that. It was fine the day of the weigh-in. It was the day of the fight he woke up and he was like, I'm not hungry, which that's how you know he's not well. Feel like I've got a temperature, fucking dizzy. I was like, have you been sick? And he's like, I feel like I want to be sick, but I'm not eating. And so we just kept him on fluid and stuff all the way through. I'm like, look, I can pull this if you want. I don't know what will happen with, as far as we're in a 4-man tournament, how that will go. There's time dates on that way that's shown in September, but I don't really want you fighting if you're not as good as you can be. So it was like, it was a stage of, let's go and hit pads and see how I feel. So we went and hit pads at 11 o'clock or something. It's like, I feel all right. And then, no great, but all right. And then it's a couple hours later, it was, don't know if I can do this, not feeling great. And I was like, we'll go a walk. So we moved about the hotel a wee bit, and he said, let's get to the venue, we'll see how we feel at the venue, get a medical, if you need to take him, pull out the medical, done all that. And then when we got to the change room, he just went, it doesn't matter, I'm doing it anyway. Tried to warm up, went and he was sick. I was like, leave the warm up. He was sick again. I went away to get ice and stuff like that. Came back, he was still been sick. I went through and checked him. He was like, I can't wear my mask. He usually wears that stupid mask. Can't wear the mask, it'll make me sick. So I was like, fuck the mask. Didn't give me water in between the rounds. He was scared. Like he was like, I didn't want to do a paddy pin, what he kept saying. I was like, fine. He kept just saying, once the bell goes, I'll be fine. I'll just have to go on it. He's like, I was like, your body will take over. I'll be fine. Your body will take over. And it pretty much did. Again, the night after he won, we came home, he drank a wee bit, he hardly ate, slept. It wasn't a problem until the Saturday night after Stevie's fighting that they felt all right. He actually started eating and stuff like that. But he was legitimately not well. So it just shows you the kid's character, man. A lot of guys would have pulled, or when they get dropped like that, they'd have been like, oh fuck. But it just steeled his resolve, to be honest. He was just like, I'll fucking get him. I'm going to get him. He actually said in the way that this will not last a round, I'm going to fucking do him in, because I didn't know if I could go the 15 minutes. But it was a good fight. I never really learned much about him that I didn't know. I know he's got that in his tank. I was happy that some of the stuff for the gym with the fakes and stuff were working. And it's a different side of his game with that pressure, because he has been predominantly a wrestling guy, fence wrestling, pop game, like he done with Samir and stuff like that. But he also hits extremely hard for a flyweight, which was the difference in that fight. Like LeBlond's landed on him as clean as he possibly could, and Luke took it. And then you could see LeBlond a couple of times. Luke had him pretty rubber legged and stuff like that. But it was a good fight, man.
Yeah, and then obviously you said you didn't travel down with Keir, but obviously Keir Harvie, big opportunity for him, making his debut on the big stage and going in there and not only winning but finishing as well. So, I mean, you've got to be happy with how things went for Keir, and I'm sure he's ecstatic as well.
He's very similar to Luke. Like he'll always. Keir's a guy in the gym I can watch roll with certain guys that have not even had amateur fights yet, and they'll take rounds off him. He's quite a laid back kid, but on the night he's the same as Luke. He always turns up. That's what we say about Keir. He'll always fucking turn up, and it doesn't matter who he's fighting. He's going to go at them. With that fight, again, super dangerous opponent, Manny Akpan. I get for a good gym. Knew he'd be well prepared. He's been sparring with some good guys. He's well skilled, but we just got to. It's one thing having the right game plan, but having a fighter who can execute it is probably more important than actually having the right game plan. Because lots of guys go into fights with the right game plan, but they can't actually do what they need to do. But Keir was perfect. He never gave Manny space. He got the range right out the gate, just inside that kicking range, but not inside the punching range. Again, he maintained that for long spells and kept the pressure on him. And we kind of knew if we could make Manny throw some of those high energy techniques, the spins and the big loaded up punching and stuff like that, he could get him tired. And I think that kind of became a factor on how the finish came about, to be fair, even though Keir caught the arm triangle in a transition. But the game plan was that pressure, and also just to, even if we lost round one, we needed to get him tired losing it. But we were willing to lose the first round in exchange for getting the guy tired. And it became apparent when he started missing with some of the kicks that was kind of going to happen. The technique itself with the arm triangle, that's Keir's move. He's got a couple setups for it and stuff. That particular setup where he stops him doing the running escape towards Tuttle, you don't see it that much, but you could tell how clean the technique was with how quick Manny went to sleep. Like he wasn't in that choke for a long time, 5-6 seconds maybe, and it's put him out. So that's a mark of beautiful technique, exceptionally good technique with the right efficiency. And again, Keir's made that happen. It's not like he's caught. You can say he caught me and stuff. He's made it happen by putting on that pressure, making the guy get into positions where he normally would do, and causing scrambles and stuff like that. And I'm happy for him, man, because again, he's one of these kids that's came here for another gym, and I 100% know those guys out there want him to fail. He was probably brought into Cage Warriors there for Manny to win. Manny was coming off a big win over Ben Ellis, I think. Ben Ellis, another exceptionally good young fighter. And it was a step up in class for Keir. Like there's no two ways about it. He was fighting it was the best guy he's fought to date as an amateur or a pro. And you just have that feeling with Keir that the better guys are going to bring the best side of him out. And I think that's exactly what happened. So I shot all of the guys like some bullet, and I'm going to train the way up the road. I shot them out like a wee text message with 3 things that we're going to kind of work on next, and I'm pretty sure Keir will take all of them on board and just keep developing.
Yeah, perfect. And obviously we've seen another guy come into the gym, Scott Malone, who has fought on obviously Cage Warriors, had massive opportunities, and then cut from the promotion. Gets this opportunity to come back in. He's coming off a few wins on regional scenes. A lot of pressure on Scott in this one, because potentially you get in there if things don't go your way. That's potentially your Scott's last opportunity. You just never know. So, I mean, did you feel that there was a lot of pressure on Scott coming into this fight?
I think almost like external and internal pressure. He puts a lot of pressure on himself, Scott. He's obviously went from. He's been a Cage Warriors title contender at a time when that division was one of the best divisions there. So he's fought Jack Shore, who's one of the best fighters to ever come through Cage Warriors at bantamweight. He had a good little run up to Jack Shore as well. Like he knocked out Armisinger and stuff like that. Looked like a legit challenger for Jack Shore. And then the wheels fell off there, which would have dented his confidence. But again, Jack Shore's not like an ordinary fighter. And then, unfortunately, he's ran into Cartwright on the first round of that tournament. If you remember talking about that tournament, I picked Cartwright to win it because he was a total underdog there. But the people in the know knew about that kid. And obviously, you've seen what he's been on to since then. So he's been unfortunate, but the fact Scott's been in a position to fight Jack Shore and then Jack Cartwright one after the other kind of should be a reason for him to have a bit of confidence in himself, because if you're not good at fighting, you're not going to be in a cage with you guys at that stage contesting for world titles. So he's came undone there. It was the fight after Cartwright that I think the kid for Next Gen, I think that was the one that's destroyed his confidence, to be honest. And he made a technical mistake in that, if you remember, he caught a kick and went to do like a judo sweep that exposed his back and got choked. Which
Adam Wilson.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't do that in the gym. But he's turned his career around, obviously. So when Scott was at Cage Warriors, even when he was winning, Ewan Sloan, his coach, was messaging me saying he needs to be working with better guys, sparring partners, coaches and stuff. And there's not a lot of coaches would do that. I've got a massive amount of respect for Ewan Sloan, what he's done with Scott. I think he's an exceptionally good coach. He's a really nice guy as well, man. He's one of my favourite people in not just Scottish MMA, but all MMA. He's just a genuinely lovely guy. And it takes a lot of I'm trying to think of the right word. It takes a lot of security in yourself for a coach to go up to a fighter and say, I think you should go and work with this guy. And Ewan's done that. And unfortunately, it took Scott losing those 3 fights to make the change. And it was like a broken guy when he got here. His confidence was away. I first brought him in to help us with Luke Shanks for sparring and stuff like that. We've also got Ian Postlethwaite comes through and does stuff here. So you've got the 3 best kind of flyweights in the country. Rhys McEwen's been doing bits and pieces. So you've got one up at bantam. Plus we've got this group of kids here. They're all running about that same weight. Logan McGonigal, who you've seen fight Mark Costatos and Paul Lally. So there's a good solid wee group there. But if I'm honest, coaching wise, I've not changed too much up with Scott. It's been strategy stuff, decision making, how to pace yourself, and stuff like that. Just that's the 2 big things. And sometimes you just need to tell them about that stuff, and you can see it. And then other times you point it out and Bill Drills run about and stuff. But he's still doing the same stuff that he would have done with his old coaches and stuff. But it's just he's maybe more aware of the process of how he's winning. And since he's came here, that's his 3rd fight, 3rd win. So everyone seems back on track from he had good fights at Evolution of Combat, good fight there at Cage Steel. But this kid they fought there, Serdar Altas, was a massive prospect. He's like a 2-time IMAF champion, I think, Europeans. He was actually matched with Luke at the last trilogy and got injured. But the Swedish guys have been raving about this guy for a wee while. And Scott's took that fight short notice because I think he was meant to fight someone else. When Ian messaged and asked if we had anybody, and I kind of put Scott forward for it. And he turned up on the night. This was the first fight we've done without you in there. So it was just kind of me, and then obviously Luke's jumped in, but he made the weight easy. It was at catch weight. He imposed his game on him. He overcame resistance, and then it was the first time he's responded to my instructions. He pushed the pace when he needed to. I could see that. There was a body kick hit that kid, and I could see it hurt him. And Scott went after him a wee bit there. And then the exchange on the lead up to the finish, the guy just stopped kind of resisting a wee bit. He could see he was starting to go a wee bit. And when I'm calling for Scott to put it on him a wee bit, he's done it, and he's got a stoppage. And again, that could have been a points win, but stopping that guy's a big statement for Scott. With the type of prospect he was, and it's put him right back up there. The problem we've got now is we've got Luke and Scott in the same weight class in the same promotion, but we'll fix that. We'll sort that when it comes to it. Scott's actually got another fight in 7 weeks in Ireland against Andy Young at Cage Conflict. So if he wins that, I think that flips his record up to, and I expect him to win that. I think that puts his record up to 10-3 or 10-4.
10
a 4-fight winning streak.
10-3 it would be.
So that's an excellent record on a 4-fight winning streak. After the 3 losses, he's completely turned his career around. So again, it's a testament to his willpower and his work.
And Andy Young, again, Andy Young's a good name. If you get the victory there, that's a good name to have.
Yeah, good fighter, man. Good fighter.
Yeah. And then that leads us up to, obviously, Stevie McIntosh going in there against Decky McAleenan. That's a fight I think a lot of people would have been looking at and looking forward to. Overall, how did you feel the fight went in terms of the way Stevie performed and getting that victory on the stage, and not just the victory, getting the finish against Decky, which is certainly, he's not a guy that gets finished very often or very easily.
No, he's a good fighter, man. He fought Alex Davidson for us and beat him a few years back, and then he's a guy I like, man. We've got one of his ex-teammates, Matty Malone, trains here, and he always speaks really highly of Decky. He's just a guy I like watch fighting. I don't know if it's because I had a karate background and stuff as well, but he's got some of the best clinical striker in that division. When you see him getting a rhythm and stuff like that, his stuff's really nice. And it's a dangerous fight for Stevie. Like he's beat Adam Ventry. That fight with Kieran Lister, who was a massive name at the time, was billed as a draw, but I kind of think Decky edged that, to be honest. So he's not lost his last 3 fights at Cage Warriors. Stevie's obviously been chucked into Cage Warriors relatively short notice against Medi and lost. We've had the full camp here, and it went well for Stevie, man. I'm proper happy for him because Stevie's been a guy. Stevie should have been the natural kind of successor for Stevie Ray, and before that, Martin Delaney, like our lightweight. We always have a good lightweight, good featherweight type of thing here. And he was running at the time. He had some issues with injuries and shows getting pulled and this, that, and next. And it was a big deal for us getting him to Cage Warriors because we always knew he was going to end up doing something. And it was just to give a really good account of himself, to be honest. I knew he was in a good place on the night of the fight when he started warming up. He was super loose, walking out. I just knew he was going to be good, man. If he gets in that state of mind, he's going to be hard to beat. But he still had a huge task ahead of him with Decky, and it was a good fight. Good first round, back and forth. Both hit each other, landed and stuff like that. And it's a fight, hopefully, that kind of shoots Stevie onwards now. So he'll take his week off or whatever. We'll get back in the gym. We'll add bits and pieces and get ready for the next one. But again, he showed stuff that we've been drawing in the gym, that's what I want as a coach. There's no point of doing all that training if he's just going to turn up the same fighter all the time. But he hit certain things that we've been training, and he hit. His game is the back take stuff. He's an absolute fucking nightmare for the back. So it was his 10th pro fight, 7th victory, 7th finish. Best opponent he's fought to date on the biggest show, so it couldn't have went much better for him. Like you always get happy when your guys win, but Stevie's been needing that for a while, man. And I think everybody in the gym and run about our wee circle kind of knows that, and knows what he's capable of.
And the finish was lovely. How had the choke on. It was going for the choke one side. It wasn't on, then switch sides, and it was just a really nice finish. And I couldn't have been happier for Stevie because he's genuinely a really nice guy, and obviously it was great to see him get the win. Yeah,
it's good, man. He's like a model professional in our gym, to be honest. He's got a full-time job. Recently just bought a house with his girlfriend and stuff, but whatever you ask him to do, he does. He never gets massively out of shape. He's kind of like some of the guys we've had before, like Martin Delaney and stuff like that. Like the young guys need to look up to guys like him, and that's exactly what a professional would be. Hopefully he's going to put together a wee running fights now, and we can see how far he goes.
Absolutely. And so we'll just finish on this last one. I just want to know, over the course of this trilogy series that's just been and going there, who were the standouts for you over the 3 shows?
So we mentioned some of them so far. So Dominic Wooden, obviously George Hardwick, Justin Burleson. They were guys, we've already kind of talked about them. On top of that, a couple of guys that the Liam Gittins fight on the first night, that's a kid I just love watching him fight. He's an absolute fucking fighter. I didn't like seeing him get hurt as much. He'd taken a lot of punishment in that fight, but the kid's got heart and balls for days. Came back and won. And this is a guy coming up for flyweight, fighting a guy who came down for featherweight. You can see the size difference there. He's persistent and resilient, that kid, and again, next generation fighter. It was an exciting fighter, but when that kid got to finish, the whole fucking change room stood up clapping. And it doesn't happen that often, guys clapping for somebody for another team, but he stood out on the first night. So on the Thursday night, it was Liam Gittins for me. The Friday night, the 1, 2, 4, what was the night?
Yeah. That was with Burlington and Serdar.
Nathan Fletcher on that show for me. Again, I think he's a next gen guy as well.
Yes.
Finish against a really good fighter, looked like levels above. Young fighter as well. So you've potentially got a Liverpool versus Manchester fight there with him and Cartwright in that division. I'm not quite sure what Fletcher's record is, maybe 6-0 or something now. But he stood out for us. I think he's young. He's got a massive future, that kid. And then the Saturday night, the final night, it's got to be that Gomez kid that done Tobias Harila. Stood out for me. So that was my 3 over the course of the 3 nights. One a night. Liam Gittins, Nathan Fletcher and William Gomez, I think.
And overall then, the weekend, great another trilogy show. Back up the road, 4 wins, so happy higher level head coach then, aye?
It was good, man, but again, you try not to dwell on these things like it's done. We've got Kunle in a couple of weeks, and then we're getting ready for a busy August. I'm happy for the boys, to be honest. The wins are always for the guys. It was good because we've obviously not been a lot of fights happening, and the last trilogy both my guys lost, so we've kind of doubled down on certain things, and went back down and just kind of reminded people what this team's potential is. People already know, to be honest. We've been at that level for a long time, but it just kind of reinforces what we already know, that we're kind of doing the right stuff.
And you must feel now the way things are going and everything. It looks like it's going to be a busy period now because we can see shows opening up, and I'd imagine soon it's going to be full on at the gym for you to make up for lost time.
I think so, man. We've got a bunch of guys due it, and then obviously Cage Warriors are back September, I think. So hopefully kind of normality to a certain degree.
Brilliant. Well, we'll wrap up on that one. That's everything for us at Higher Level Podcast, and we appreciate you tuning in.